Hi there and welcome to the Types of Digital Marketing webinar for the training delivered by Creative Alliance. This seminar or webinar goes through the different types of digital marketing and the different types of marketing tools that you have access to. This webinar is split up into three major parts. This helps you consume it in bite-sized chunks and you're able to pause it and stop it and rewind it wherever needed. If you have any issue with the knowledge or the examples that we put forward, please contact your assessor. So let's get started. So this is part one, which is marketing tools and the basics. This is just where we go through the basics of digital marketing, the tools that you can use and the channels that you'll see. So there are loads of different marketing tools and channels that digital marketers have at their hand these days. It's pretty expansive, even just basic stuff when you go along with website, social media, email, all of those different things that we can do to create content to reach our audiences, and really it keeps changing, it keeps expanding, and every day is different. So as a student of digital marketing, you should always make sure that you keep on top of what's new and what's happening by looking at different blogs yourself. What I first want to go through is the difference between digital channels and digital marketing tools. So a digital channel is something or a route or a conduit that you use to reach your audience. It is the way that you get to your audience. Whereas a digital marketing tool is something that you use to create the message that you then use the channel to get to it. Now please, they are not totally exclusive. A marketing channel and a marketing tool can often be the same thing. So for instance, the best example I usually use is email is a digital channel. We use email to reach our audience, but we use an email technology system like something like MailChimp or Campaign Monitor as a marketing tool to create the message, to create something that looks nice, and we send that over the channel to our audience. Another one that's where they're not as exclusive as that is maybe Facebook. Facebook is both a digital channel and a digital marketing tool because you both create the message on Facebook and you use Facebook as a channel to get to the person. Now don't get me wrong, you can use Photoshop as a marketing tool to create something to then place on Facebook, but you can actually exclusively do it all on Facebook. Facebook also gives you options to create adverts. It is a tool with loads of different options and things like that. What I want you to do is do a bit of research into what is the difference between the tools? How can you use the different social media, email and website as tools? And what channels do you use to then reach your audience and how different are they? Those are a couple of things to think over. So to recap, a marketing channel is the route of which you get to your audience. So that could be over the internet with email, or a website could be your channel, or using social media could be your channel. A tool is something that you use to create the message to get that over, and that they are not exclusively different. Looking into things like how Facebook uses adverts, how Twitter can use adverts to create your message to get there is something that you need to research as part of your digital marketing course. So the next thing we're going to talk about is content. Quite often things are talked about, content is king, and making sure your SEO is right on your website is all about the content. But I don't think a lot of people often understand exactly what content is and what does that mean. Content is essentially everything that you make creatively for marketing needs. So that could be a flyer, that could be graphics, that could be a video, that could be animation, that could be even sorts of photos, blogs is quite important, copywriting. I don't think I've missed any there, but anything that you sort of create, I suppose, creatively to place into whatever marketing channel or tool that you're going to use. So for instance, if you're creating a blog for a website, the blog is the content and the website is the channel of which it's going through there. So the reason people say content marketing is king and that content is one of the most important things is because it is really. when you're marketing, making sure that your message is put across is great, and making sure your message is clear, but you're using content to do that. So if your content isn't good, isn't sort of well made, isn't professional, then that reflects onto your business. One of the things that's really big in content is that it helps improve search engine optimization, or what I'll keep calling it is SEO. So we use content to create a website, which is what SEO is. Search engine optimization is the way that you manage your website to make sure that the search engine can find it. So for instance, with Creative Alliance, if you want to search for creative apprenticeships, you would search things like creative apprenticeship and things like that. So when you're developing content, when we develop content at Creative Alliance, we create lots of blogs about creative apprenticeships in the Midlands and things like that. So that content, Google looks for, are they updating their content? Have they created something good? Is there lots of different content, videos, pictures and things like that? And that means that Google likes it and will search for that content. So one of the things that I want people to think about when talking about content and how it can help SEO is I want you to start thinking about, how does your business use your content? So how does it get its message across? What sort of content does it produce, and does it use it effectively? What content is actually on the website? Do a bit of an audit on your website. What is on there, and is any of it, is it useful? Is it all being well, keyworded? Is it all well focused around your brand? And what message is being conveyed by the content? Is it quite clear that the message is correct for your business, or is some of it not quite there? Okay, so the next section of part one is about email marketing. I mentioned before that this is a tool. Email marketing systems are a tool like MailChimp and Campaign Monitor, but it's also it's a channel of which we can reach a message to people, our audiences. Email marketing is really, really important. I think a lot of businesses invest a lot of money into making sure that their email marketing is right. I think it's a pretty powerful one. A lot of people think, well, I don't really sort of address email marketing, a lot, but really you can get a lot of content. You can write what your message is. You can send images. You can send videos now. You can send little GIFs. Email is a really important way to get your message across to your audience. And one of the main things it does is also to sort of unobtrusively keep in touch. So it's not handing flyers out or throwing adverts in people's faces. It's just a very hey, this is what we're doing. This is, these are the things that we're up to. Creative Alliance does a fantastic newsletter every 2 weeks where it delivers its message across to people. It gives people information, and it helps generate sales and interest from other businesses for us. It's a very effective marketing tool. One of the things that I've mentioned quite a few times is an email technology system. This is often quite a personal choice for the business, but an email technology system, like I've mentioned before, some brands like MailChimp and Campaign Monitor, is a system that helps you deliver, I suppose, fancy, professional-looking emails to your audience, to a mass audience. It gives you, it's a piece of software that usually is based online, though you can have software that is downloaded onto your computer. It holds all your lists for you, so your lists of people, and it manages those lists for you, and it gives you the ability to send out to mass amounts. One of the most powerful tools that an email technology system actually has is also a reporting system. So you send out to 2,000 schools, for instance, you send your message out to 2,000 schools, and it reports back who's opened them, what they've clicked on, what are the images, what are the links that they've looked at, and how many times they've opened it. This gives you the ability to narrow down who's actually interested in your emails and who's actually interested in your messages that they send. And it can become quite complicated with emails. I know plenty of companies that look at how many people have looked into it and what things they've clicked on, and if they've clicked on one of the certain subjects, they'll only send them messages about their subject. So for instance, an e-commerce site might send an an email with 3 different sort of products on there. Say a clothes store might send, jackets and then have boots and then have shirts. Now, if customer A has clicked on shirts 3 times, we know he's interested or she's interested in shirts. So we'll send more offers around shirts. And email technology systems help you manage those, help you refine those things. When starting up an email technology system, if your business doesn't have an email technology system as part of its thing, you need to think about how you're going to do this. And there's a few steps you need to do. The first and most important thing is you need emails. So think about how you're going to collect emails off your customers. You can't email them because you haven't got any emails. So think about maybe events or ways that you can literally get in touch with those people and start updating those emails. Think about networking events that you've been to where you've got business cards. Where are you putting those emails are on there? This is your audience. These are your potential customers. Get them on that email technology system. The next part of using an email technology system is to start developing content. Think about a clear message or sell that you want to put forward, okay? An email full of loads of different things is going to confuse your audience. They're not going to understand, and to be honest, they ain't going to engage. We'll go on to engagement a little bit later, but what I mean is they're not going to click on what you want them to. They're not going to give you decent stats. And also, the third part of doing an email system is look at the reports. If you're using an email technology system and sending them out, do an evaluation, report back, look who's opened, look who's clicked, and look at who's engaged with your email. Think, make it worthwhile. A lot of marketing is about being creative, is about sending messages out to your customers or audience, but it's also about reporting back, is what I'm doing working? Because you might send out a couple of messages and they might not be working, and then you might send another one out where you've decided to do something different and that really works. Now, you won't know if you're not reporting back because you can keep going on that report. And like I said, some companies rely totally on that and are able to focus what products they want to hit those people. One of the things that you need to address is keeping things legal on your lists. So this is something that I didn't address before, but to keep your list legal, you need to make sure that the people understand and have given you permission to put them on your email marketing lists. Quite often in companies you'll say, do you want to be added to our newsletter? That has to be a conscious choice now. So when giving your card over a network, just do a quick, are you happy to receive some of our emails? That will do for first. And then you need to make sure that there is an option to unsubscribe on your email. Okay, so most email systems will give you this option automatically anyway when you send out the emails, so you don't need to worry. MailChimp especially has to put it as part of the bottom of the emails, and I'm pretty sure most of the other ones will do too. Okay, so things to do or activities to do on the end of this. Have a look. Does your company use an email technology system? What marketing tool do they use for email marketing, or do they do it at all? If not, do some research into different email marketing technology systems and see which one works best for you. How often do you guys check it? Do you do email marketing? Great. Do you never check it? Not so good. You might as well not bother. And is there a better one out there for you? At Creative Alliance, we've tried 2 or 3 and we found one that works for us, but that might not be the right one for your business. So most of them give you a few, a month's trial or a few days trial. So try them out because they do offer different things. Okay, so this next section is on brand and the promotional mix. So first thing I'm going to talk about is what is brand. We talk about brand all the time. They always talk, they've got such a good brand, and this is our brand, this is the brand. And I actually quite often when people talk about, I think they think brand means logo. Don't get me wrong, the logo is an important part of the brand, but it's not the whole thing. So I always believe that there are 3 pillars to a brand. Okay, so the first pillar to the brand is your values. So your brand values. This is also your company values. They can be one and the same things, but you've got to remember that some companies own multiple brands. Okay, so what sort of idea, what feeling do you want your brand to put forward? Okay, think about real major brands and what feelings that they put forward. Quite often they don't sell things, they just put forward these values, these feelings. Think about Coca-Cola. Think about Coca-Cola's Christmas advert. You know, I don't think you even see a bottle of Coca-Cola in that whole advert. You know, what feeling are they trying to sell? Are they selling, you know, a lot of people talk about that they're selling, you know, Christmas doesn't start until that Coca-Cola advert's there. That's a great example of brand that Coca-Cola put forward, this brand of family, of excitement, of bringing people together. Those are the values of Coca-Cola. That's why their brand is so strong. So the second part of the pillar, as I call them, a brand, is image. It is your logo, it is those things, and keeping those consistencies is very, very important. People spend a lot of time creating brand image and making sure that those are protected. Once again, I'm going to refer back to Coca-Cola. That red is synonymous with Coca-Cola. That flowy text writing is absolutely synonymous in Coca-Cola. In the 1980s, I think, Coca-Cola actually changed their brand because I have a funny feeling their logo's patent was running out, and they changed it to Coke for a while, and that didn't go down well at all. You know, people really rely on this brand image and brand values. They almost get angry when they break from it. Apple's a really strong one. Some of their brand values and images is all about their design and innovation and dedication to education. And whenever they release a product that isn't innovative enough or doesn't, you know, show that they're excellence in design, people actually get angry about it, which shows how strong that brand is. And the third part of brand, or the third pillar of brand, is about the message that you put forward, making sure that message within that brand is consistent. Another very strong brand is McDonald's, and recently they released, maybe about 4 or 5 years ago, a series of adverts about a young boy going to his stepdad trying to convince a young boy who's his stepson to come to do things with him, go and play football, go and work in the garden and that kind of thing. And the boy was very sort of nonchalant, no, I don't want to, no, I don't want to, no, I don't want to. And then right at the end, the dad says, you know, or the stepdad says, you know, do you want to come get a McDonald's with me? And they both together and they sort of bond over that. Now, I'm pretty sure there wasn't a burger in that whole advert apart from the last 5 seconds. What was it selling? Think about what was the brand message that it was selling. What were the brand values? What was the image? And what was the message that advert was selling? Okay. So the next bit I want to go on to is about the promotional mix. Now, there are many, many different theories about the promotional mix, and if you look online or look in books, there are lots of different elements, and it keeps growing with digital marketing and things changing and ways to get towards your audience. There is different ways about the promotional mix, but what I want to do is I want to talk about what the promotional mix actually is, what it means, and what are the sort of 4 main elements of this promotional mix. So firstly, the promotional mix, I believe, is something that was put together by sort of marketing theorists is the perfect way, or the way that you need to release a product or service or business. These 4 things will promote your business, your service, your activity. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to talk through the different 4 elements, and then I'm going to talk through an example of how that can be used. Okay, so first part is advertising. Okay, so advertise your product, put out radio adverts, TV adverts, posters, flyers, you know, simple advertising, get your message and product out there, awareness. Next thing is promotions. You know, if you're releasing this, if a new product, promote it, okay? Give free stuff away, you know, 2 for 1. Quite often magazines, you know, when you have to build those spaceships and things like that a bit, you know, they give the first one away for 50p and the rest are a tenner. Do those promotions, get something released. The next thing is PR. So that is public relations. So get a newspaper article out there. Quite often newspapers are desperate to fill their column inches. So, you know, get them to write, you know, talk to newspapers, you know, try and find a story within your product that you can then release. Other things that you can do for PR is these bloggers, you know, people who talk about if you're releasing makeup, there's makeup bloggers, there's food bloggers, their PR, public relations, relate to your public. Okay, and the final part is simple, bog standard, face-to-face selling. But think of that in a marketing way. How do we get face-to-face with our audience? Events that we can put on, little groups. If you're releasing some sort of food product, you could go and find a cooking class, go down there with your product, release it. That's a great way to sell. Get in front, get face-to-face with those people. That's really important. Okay, so one of the things that I always talk to my learners about is if I was starting a theme park. So you've moved to a new town, you're a very rich person, and you've created a theme park, but you want people to come to the opening weekend. It's going to be a bit rubbish if nobody turns up to that first weekend. So how are you going to get that message out there? So let's go through the promotional mix, and I'm going to put forward very simple ideas of how you do that. So the first thing we talked about was advertising. Absolutely. Get on the local radio, get on the local TV, get on the local magazines or newspaper classifieds, those kind of things. Get advertising, put some money towards it, get your name out there. Okay, really simple stuff. Next is promotions. We talked about promotions. So why not for the weekend, that opening weekend, kids go free. Great promotion because the kids will be like, I want to go. And it's the parents who've got the money, so the parents will go, well, it's 20 quid for me and my wife, but the kids go free. That's all right. Gets them in there. It's a great promotion to do. PR. Why not invite the day, if it opens on Saturday, why not invite all the journalists down on Monday or the weekend before to ride all the rides for free, to go into the park. They can get a total experience, and then they can write something about it. That's a story in that. There is something there that would sell their newspaper for them. And then finally, face-to-face selling. So, get yourself to the schools. Go and think of an educational thing that you could do for the schools. The kids are going to convince the parents to buy this, okay? So, or go to mums groups. Hey, we've got this offer of kids to sell and we want, we've created this park, we're doing educational groups there. Okay, give them a reason to go there, okay? So that is how the best way that a promotional mix can work. So I just want to go through quickly a recap on those things. So brand is not just the logo, it's not just the colours. Brand is 3 pillars: image, values, and message. Please rewind to see over those things. And then the promotional mix. A promotional mix is a series of activities or things that you can do that will promote a new product or I suppose an old product as well, if you want to, for one reason, build up the sales on that. And they are quintessentially 4 parts. That's promotional material, promotions, sales promotions, advertising, so putting adverts out there, PR, public relations, and then face-to-face selling. Okay. So this is part 2 of the types of digital marketing webinar, and this is based on some social media. A huge part of digital marketing is surrounded by social media, and I think it's often the part that is used probably the most poorly, because I think ineffectively, inefficiently, and it's the one that can actually be one of the most powerful tools and channels in your disposal. So first thing I want to talk about is promotional campaigns. Now, we talk a lot about doing a campaign. A campaign is just one message, one sell over a period of time that you want to put out. So a promotional campaign is one promotional sale, one promotional message that you want to put out over social media over a set amount of time. Over this next 2 weeks, we want to promote that there's 2 for 1 on our jackets at our clothes store. That would be a promotional campaign. So Facebook, Twitter, and the social media have many different options for you to create adverts. When looking at social media and Facebook, you can go to these options and you can start to create an advert where you pay a little bit of money, and what Facebook will do will almost like force it or push that advert, that sales, that promotional campaign to the audience that you want. And it is a really powerful tool. So there are a few things when doing a promotional campaign that you need to think about before sort of spending your money essentially. Okay. Firstly, and I will be saying this across all the webinars, who is your audience? So with Creative Alliance, we have two audiences. We appeal to young people like yourself, to apprenticeships, people potentially taking apprentices, people who want to start their working life a little bit earlier, not wanting to necessarily go to university, those kind of things. So there are all of those audience. We also engage with employers. So if we're going to put a Facebook campaign out, who do we want to attract? Which one of those two audiences? So that'll be something that we need to talk about. So next is, what is your offer? Don't just put, hi, we're Creative Alliance, we do apprenticeships. What is your offer? We've got 3 web design positions and we're aiming at young people, we're aiming at young apprenticeships because that's what they want, That's something to promote. Think about, what is the offer? What is the message? Why are you spending £10-20 on this on Facebook? So when you're doing your advert, you need to think about, where's it going to go? Okay, so you've done your advert, you've paid your money. Young person, as in Creative Alliance is thinking, young person's looked at it, gone, yeah, I want to be a web designer. And you go, so what do I do now? Make sure Facebook's a powerful tool. You can link it straight to your website. Where in your website do you want it to go? Think about, what is the action that is on there on your advert. So those are 3 things that you need to think about when creating a promotional campaign on Facebook. You need to think about, who is your audience, and you need to use the powerful advertising Facebook tool on looking at your audience. Okay, there are many different options on there. Young people that like movies, young people that like books, old people that like skiing, French people that like eating garlic, lots of different horrendously generic things like that. But the options on Facebook are hugely expansive. Twitter does do also the same thing. The advertising is not as well received as the Facebook advertising, but it is there. Also, LinkedIn advertising. Remember, Microsoft took over LinkedIn, I think it was last year, and they brought in advertising in LinkedIn. I don't know loads about it yet, but I've heard it's really, really good, and it works really, really well. Okay, so the next thing you need to think about, what's the offer? What is the message? Nobody just putting your company out there, oh, we're just going to spend money. What is the offer? Have you got something special this weekend? Best thing about social media is very immediate. So, have I got something special this weekend? I'm a shop. Have I got something special this weekend? Right, let's put something out Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. Easter Sunday, we're selling loads of bunnies for free, pet shop or something like that. Have a think about what the offer is and how you can use social media. And then, where do people go? If they're going to engage with it, what is the direction that they want to go to? Always direct them somewhere, and usually direct them to your website, okay? Get people on there. Your website's designed to generate income or deliver information. So the next thing that I want to talk about is engagement. I talked briefly before in part 1 about engaging your audience. Audience is the most powerful thing that you know, and most important thing in marketing. I've always said you can make the greatest film in the world, but if nobody watches, who cares? So you could have the greatest marketing campaign message, but if it isn't getting to your audience, then who cares? It's not going to sell. You're not going to have the results that you want. So engagement is a really important part of digital marketing. Digital is very interactive, meaning the audience can actually sort of hit back on your message, not like a flyer that's or poster up on the wall. There's no interaction there. People can interact. So, for example, Facebook, they can like, they can comment, they can share. These are the 3 things that people want to happen on their marketing campaigns. Have they engaged with the message? And now with digital things, we know if they've engaged with the message. Old media, print media, TV media, it was difficult to get engagement. There is ways to do it in TV, but it was difficult. But if you've got a poster out there, can you tell me how many people have looked at it? There's lots of studies on how many people could look at it, but do you know for sure? With digital marketing, you know exactly how many people have engaged with your marketing campaign, and then it's a successful campaign. It is working really well. Okay. One of the other things about engagement we talk about is amplification. Now, I mentioned a word back there, engagement, which is sharing. So amplification, which if you're a musical person, means to essentially make something bigger, usually making sound much bigger, means exactly the same thing in social media and marketing. It is creating a message and making it bigger. But when we talk about amplification, it's usually other people, another thing making it bigger. So when you talk about something going viral, that is amplification. So if you put a message out there and you spend a little bit of money and it's supposed to reach 4,000, 5,000 people, and you do a bit of reflection back and you realise it's hit 50,000 people, quite often that means that people have shared it, and it's shared and shared and shared and shared and shared because you know message that you've put out there is something that is agreeable and understandable and engaging, and people want to share it, okay? So that's amplification, and it's something that people really do think about. Why would somebody share this? You put an advert out, 2-for-1 socks on at, Woolworths, even though it doesn't exist anymore. That's not something people share. So, we talked about content is king a little bit back. This is where your content is king. So, what things do people share online? It's not a big thing. It's usually funny stuff or disgusting stuff or something shocking. And viral videos have gone pretty far in regards to making sure people share stuff. So the next thing that I want to look at is evaluation. I talked a little bit back when we were doing email about evaluating your campaign. You need to make sure that you evaluate all marketing activities, okay? So when you are doing things, even old print media, when you're putting flyers out like that, make sure that you've thought of a way to evaluate. So if you're putting flyers out there, make sure you've got a little ticket if it's for an event, for instance, so that they keep that flyer, and then you know what marketing activities are using. Evaluate your Facebook, evaluate your Twitter, evaluate what is working. So have a strict schedule, okay? Every Monday we look over the Facebook and we look at what messages worked and what didn't. This is essential to marketing. I always sort of talk about there are, when planning marketing activities, make sure that you plan in evaluation, okay? So when going through a plan for a marketing campaign, there are things that you would look at, which is you would look at, and I will go on this in detail in other webinars, but planning a campaign, you'll look at targets, you'll look at the message you want to put forward, you'll look at the content, you'll look at the channel, and you'll look at the action that you want your audience to do. But have a look at, when are we going to evaluate? If it's a 6-month campaign, are you going to spend all that money, wait 6 months, and then see if the results are? Have evaluations throughout those times, every 1 month, every 2 months, every 1 week, even if it's just general marketing activities, general Facebook. Make sure you evaluate, okay? When evaluating, there are lots of tools that you can use to evaluate how well your campaign is. So we talked about Facebook, about the tools. So let's have a look at this tool. This is called Insights. Within Facebook social media, there is a tool called Insights. In here, you can see how well each post has done, how well it's done in paid, how well it's done in organic. Organic search means people have found it just naturally because they're interested in you. You can see how many times they've liked it. You can see how many times they've clicked on it. You can see how many actions are there. You can see it from over the last 9-10 months. So you can compare this month with that month. There are lots of things that you can do in Insights, and part of your research for this should be to get onto your company and look at the insights. Another really good analytic tool is Google Analytics. Now, this looks at the sort of activity that has happened on your website mainly, and it's really powerful. I mean, it does put Insights a little bit to shame. And to be honest, in the 20 minutes of this video, I could do a whole hour seminar on how to use Google Analytics. So I do, implore you to have a little explore yourself. But if you look on the left side of the Google Analytics, there's loads of different options. One of the most powerful things is audience, where you can see what are the demographics of the people that have visited your website, how long have they visited for, what has been their movements, their actions, what pages have they visited. One of the other things to look at, is one of the main things, is sessions. So you might have 10 million visits to your site, but only 10 sessions. A visit is when somebody instantly visits your site. A session is that they spent a certain amount of time on your site. So you're looking really at sessions. There is a lot to look at. with Google Analytics. And once again, you need to make sure that you are analysing, evaluating your marketing activities and that they're working. So this is the final part of part 2 on social media. It's a little bit different to social media, and technically it's probably not actually social media, but I do feel it's probably the best place to suit it. So this is on collaborative technology. In your task that you've got at the end of this webinar, there is a talk about collaborative technology, and it's probably the one that causes the most issues for my learners. A collaborative technology, I've always described, is a technology that means that more than one person can be working on it at once. Okay, that's not sharing your keyboard with your friend or your controller. If you're as old as me, that's how you used to play multiplayer. If you wanted 4 players, that's how you did it. But it's a technology that means people can come in and out and be collaboratively working on those things. So I'm going to mention a few examples of collaborative technology. I'm going to talk through a couple of them, okay? So the first one is Google Drive is a really good one. Dropbox. There's also really good collaborative technologies like Asana and Basecamp. Okay, let me talk a little bit about Google Drive and Dropbox. They're kind of one and the same. So Google Drive was obviously released by Google and was a technology software online where you could store all your stuff, all your files, and things like that. And you could create a filing system just like a hard drive on Google. It was on the net, you could have access to anywhere as long as you could get access to your Gmail account. This meant companies actually started using it as their server system, as the hard drive system. You have to pay for it eventually. I think there was only 10 gigabytes free, and beyond that you'd have to pay for it. But why does it establish collaborative working? Well, firstly, if you were the admin, the owner of the business, you could have multiple people getting access to these files and working on them. So Google created also things like Google Docs, which was essentially like Office, but on the Google Drive, where you could start a Word document and your friend could also edit that Word document at exactly the same time. So it meant collaborative working could happen on there. Also, a big important part of Google Drive is you could restrict different people. Now, as a company, you might have all your finance documents. I wouldn't massively recommend it, but you can have all your finance documents on Google Drive. Now, you can restrict access. So I suppose it's uncollaborative, but it's collaborative in the sense that you don't want all your employees' financial details going out to everybody's employer. So it has this sharing function where you can just share with one person, or you can share with lots of multiple people, depending on who you want, but you have a lot of control over that. Dropbox is a very similar technology. The other one that I mentioned was Asana and Basecamp. These are project management technologies, work a little bit by Google, that you can share people into projects instead. And on these project softwares, you can give people tasks. So if you're a manager, you're a project manager, you've got 20 tasks in a project, you might have an apprentice like yourself to assist you on this project. So what you can do is you'll have these 20 tasks, you'll write them out in Asana for project A, and what you'll do is go, those 5 tasks, my apprentice can do that. So I will give those 5 tasks to that person. I put a deadline, what they want, a brief, what I need from them, something that they can refer back to, any resources you can attach to those tasks. And, you can then manage to see how well your apprentices is working. Your team is working. You can see how well they can start complete tasks, because as you can then tick off that task once you're done as an apprentice. You can also be showing your manager, yeah, I've done it, without having to, get up, walk to their office and say, I've done that. What next? Okay, I know it means that it seems like you can sort of work without ever meeting somebody, but the idea is it's something that you can do from home, that you can work from home, you can work when your manager's away, on holiday. Well, not that you should work on holiday, but there is that option there. And it's a good way for a manager who is over busy to be able to interact with their apprentice. So that is a very simple overlook of collaborative technology. If you're a project-based creative agency and you don't have a project software, I'd really recommend a bit of research into that. So that's the end of part 2. Thank you. So this is part 3 of the Types of Digital Marketing webinar. It's the shortest and the sweetest. So we're talking and it's only got one section. So we're talking about digital vouchers. Digital vouchers is literally what it says on the tin. It is a voucher usually used for a promotional code that is digital. You will get these probably every day in your emails. Groupons, vouchers, all of those brands are digital vouchers. It is just replaced the cutting them out of your magazine. Okay, and for your voucher, for your supermarket, for your 2-for-1 baked beans or whatever, that's all it is. And it's a very powerful tool, and often sometimes somewhat overlooked by just normal companies. And there are plenty of softwares out there that will help you develop digital voucher campaigns. When developing a digital voucher campaign, if it's something that you think about, you need to have a think about what it is you're going to do. So firstly, what is the voucher? What is the sell? What is the promotional deal? Why would somebody go for it? Okay, so you know, and what is the reason for that? Are you doing an event and you want people in the door? Are you doing a training course and you want people to buy it? You do a 2-for-1 voucher. You know, what is the reason for having that digital voucher? Next, you need to have a think about the process. I talked about softwares that do help you deliver the process, but you know, a digital voucher, as with any digital product, is very easy. Replicated. So if you're doing a 2-for-1 voucher on, you know, something quite expensive, then what's stopping your audience replicating that voucher 1,000 times and giving it out to all their mates? Not a lot. And you don't want to go bankrupt because you've essentially sold all your stock for half price. This is about promoting it, so you need to have limited access. Quite often softwares like Eventbrite will manage it, only give 20 out, or you can give codes or you know, individual codes for those people. So you need to have a think about what's the process, and most importantly, at the end of that process, are you going to evaluate of whether the voucher campaign was a success? So how much people did you bring into your store, shop, training course, whatever you're trying to sell, through the voucher system? Okay, so make sure that you are evaluating those things. Okay, and then finally, a little protection on that as well. Part of, I suppose, managing that process is protecting those vouchers, that once again it can't be replicated, that it can't be used multiple times. If you're doing an event, for instance, are you logging what individual code has come in so they don't come in multiple times? Okay, so that's quite a good thing. So with digital vouchers, can your business use digital vouchers? And if they can, what's your process going to be? So that is the end of the types of digital marketing webinar. My name's been James Ellis. Please now refer to the written task and go through those elements. Use work examples when delivering your evidence wherever possible. Okay, any issues, please contact your assessor. Thanks.